Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good to see you. And actually, just a few minutes before I came here, I was in my office, and the December is a very busy month for a lot of people, I believe, and I believe that you are busy for different reasons. And for me, it's a time for me to submit my research proposal for next year, and also a time for me to review different kind of manuscripts. And as a researcher myself, as a teacher myself, every time that I have to read something, I have the habit to, say for example, when I look at a title, I have the habit to pick up the most important keywords. And I try to do so when I look at Yazu 老师的那个 title. So if you have to do this to pick one keyword from this title, what is the word that you would pick?
EMI.
EMI? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, if you can only pick one keyword, what is the keyword?
合作 partnership.
合作, okay, cool, okay, 合作, okay, partnership in English title, right? 合作
Yes.
partnership. That's also a very important title, all right? Keyword. And any other possibility? Can I hear one more possibility?
Success.
Success, okay, that's the outcome, right? And for me, the first word that I noticed is actually this word revolutionizing. Because it's not just evolution, it's revolutionizing. And what makes this difficult is that, usually writing center, I don't know what comes to your mind when you hear the word writing center. For me, it sounds like a support system. And by support system, it gives me the impression that we have your back. And by that expression, it gives you the impression that it's always behind. So it's like a support background, supporting system. But in order to make a difference and to reach out to our students or the faculty members, I think we no longer can position ourselves as a support system in the background. We also have to reach out and become part of the foreground, right? So I think this is what makes this keyword very, very challenging, because it's not easy. So I think, and in fact, I am not happy with just this keyword. Like you guys, I was also thinking about what could be the other possibilities for Yazu 老师的那个 talk. So yes, I want success, and success for the teachers, success for the students, and success for ourselves. We need to feel proud for the work that we are doing today. So, by this background, you can probably get a sense that what Yazu is going to talk about today is not easy. She's going to talk about, things that we care from different perspectives, for teachers, for students, and for service providers ourselves. And we are all partners in this dynamic system. So, something that I'd like you to think about, since we have so many participants today, people from different backgrounds, I would like to invite you, probably try to think about, I'm also hoping that throughout her talk, hopefully it can engage us to do some kind of brainstorming. Maybe perhaps by the end of her talk, maybe during the Q&A session, we can turn it into a conversation. And hopefully we can probably discuss, or have some inspiration for the things that we can do, we can provide to our students. Okay, so without further delay, I probably present you Yazu. Thank you.
Thank you, my esteemed director, Tony Liu, who's the distinguished professor from the English department, and also our director for Center of Academic Literacy. Now today, as Professor Liu just mentioned, that we're going to showcasing you what we have done and what we are about to do. And those things for us, although they are very challenging, but also make us very exciting, it is because that we know that we're doing the right thing, and we're doing that interweaving part with every one of you all together to make a force to the establishment to bilingual university. So today I will be talking about some of the part of how we can drive this to success. So we talked about the success, which is the outcome, and we talked about how we can kind of like deconstruct and co-construct all kind of different ways of approaches that we can make partnership with every sectors in this school. Let me just, 这个好像有点不灵光。 All right, so firstly we will be looking at where we are with the contextual understanding and who we are talking to. So that is the needs for the update here. We are talking about how we can fulfill the needs with our services. After all, we are a very small center right now, but we think big and we look big. And that is the things that we really want to do. So thirdly, we want to look into the context of what we have. And then we want to address those challenges, and to respond to them, and then to figure out where and what will be the positioning of our center. And then we will be looking at how partnership can togetherly drive some success, which we do have very good cases to share. Firstly, the contextual understanding. Well, with today's talk, we also want to tap on all kinds of stakeholders in this environment. I noticed that we do have some elite tutors here in my room. They help us very much of helping students writing and also consulting with lots of sessions. And we also want to, by breaking down all those stakeholders, to help everybody to understand that who are we working with at this moment. All right, the first one is that it is because EMI, the lady just said, right? It is because of EMI here. So we are actually addressing the key needs of the students, the faculty, the learning process itself. So togetherly we are boosting up is something we call academic discourse. And those things has to do with a lot of, difficult words and difficult, some words that you want to use, some phrases that you want to use. And especially with those kind of mechanisms, it actually help people to process those informations intellectually and academically. So that is a different need, apart from the language proficiency that people already have in this environment. So that is the first part. The second part is that as a bilingual education institution, especially in higher education institution, we're also preparing the students for their future, and it's a really near future, right? So that actually gives us an instant need and instant empowerment of how we can help them to get connected, whether it's their learning or to the global talent pool. So these are the things that we focus on. And then we understand that adopting EMI is not enough. I myself work as an EMI teacher as well. I faced tons of challenges in my classrooms, saying that students had hard times understand what I'm talking. And even more, they had a really hard time producing what they understand. That's a pity, right? Right? So like teachers sometimes get very frustrated because of students' learning outcome doesn't really meet that standards, and they'll say, oh, look at that. They say, oh, look at the writing. Oh, I'm so frustrated. I prepared a lot, right? And the students' learning outcome seems to be very limited. But why is that? It is because sometimes it's not just because that they don't understand. Could be because that they do understand, but they don't know how to express it out, right? So, like, how can we adopt that to be a support to EMI? It's something that we are looking at very closely. And also, we are also addressing some challenges such as disparities. We all know that we got very mixed ability classrooms. Although in NTNU, we got a bunch of good students, right? They know how to learn, they got very good self-disciplines, they learn very well, they end up here. But what comes next? When it comes to EMI, well, it comes with another very different differentiations, and it leads to disparities, like two edges, two ends, and how can we address that needs? So togetherly, we want the efforts of those EMI teachers could bring to a success with the support here, so we can create a conducive effort for EMI instruction. I think that this is not very... 它这个好像卡住，对对对，它坏掉，对对。
那就不是电池的问题。
好，没关系。
那我帮你按。
其实我袋子里有一只。
在哪里？
就在我的电脑袋里面。好，没关系，你就去拿，然后我也会按一下。
好。
All right. So we talked about those challenges, and now we talked about how we respond to those challenges by illustrating the services that we do. So firstly, we provide resources. Have you ever tried our resources before online? Really? What did you try? What did you try?
I booked a session online and I went to review one of my paper.
Oh, then who did you work with?
I'm
sorry.
Somewhere in Gongguan campus.
Oh, somewhere in Gongguan campus.
There's a name on the board.
Oh.
It was like 2 months ago.
Oh, right before my post, is it? Right after my post.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Hey, you know what? Today, I think that I failed to say that we do want, at the same time as we are showcasing the services, but the service that we provide actually evolve as well as we are revolutionizing. We evolve as well. So we are also trying to look for some insights from you, some of your experiences, some of your thinking, your thoughts. So we are, as Tony just mentioned, that we are looking for something that we can talk about. Today we got a little, what do we say that? Some bonus here. So if you can ask questions, or if you can respond to the talk, or feel free to contribute. We are also demonstrating our coffee for you. All right. So congratulations, gentlemen! You just won a freshly brewed coffee. Thank you very much. So the resource that you use is like a one-on-one tutoring service. And how do you feel about it? 1 to 5.
Can I get 10?
Oh, you get 2 coffee. Thank you so much. You know what? Because I teach academic writing and oral presentation, I asked my students to come to use the session, and they got the very same comments on that. And well, with this occasion, I also want to express my gratitude to the tutors in this room. Thank you. All right, yes, we do have resources that one-on-one tutoring, yes. And we also have some handouts online. And those are the things that you can use, whether in your learning or in your teaching. They can be very good tools, right? If you are like teachers, if the teachers ask you, if you're a student, okay, let me know who in this room are students. Okay, all right. If you're students and your teachers are asking you to write a paper in the midterm or in the final presentation, things like that, what would you do? Now, firstly, you look at the topic for a long time, right? And then you start to think and think and think. But you know what? Academic writing comes in structure. So what you need to do is to get an outline. And how can you come up with an outline? You use those materials given will actually give you a very good experience to guide you through those stuff. And as for teachers, if you are, giving out that kind of assignment, feel free to use those templates, use those resources as templates to guide your students through. In education, we call that a scaffolding, right? You're building a house, and then you're making scaffolding to make that happen. All right, so the resources, guidance from the tutors, and also support. Now, what we're talking about support means something even more, and I will talk about that later. It's okay, 没关系. All right, and so the services are multifaceted. Okay, so it's one-on-one consultation, it's workshops, and it's resources that meet diverse needs. I'm proudly to announce that we are going to have many workshops coming next semester. We are going to collab with library, and then we will open a series of workshops detailedly focused on the writing skills academically. Okay, so what are they? They can be like paraphrasing, synthesizing various sources, writing a good introduction, write a body, or write a conclusion, or even how to write an argument. Well, there are something that we can also work on as how to compare, right? How to make comparison, how to contrast, how to there are all kinds of academic skills being presented precisely with that academic writing, and that's the thing that we want to look at. And then Yes, workshop and tutorials. We also want our faculty to understand that what kind of services that we can provide. So we basically work with whatever we can with the department, with the faculty, with the teachers, and then we want to address that those things doesn't just come along if they gotta. Sometimes, you might evaluate your students or you might evaluate yourself as like a B2 CFR level. However, still encounter challenges in your academic learning process. It is because those are different genre. Those are different language that we use. So we are trying to develop those skill development programs and to organize those workshops in response to those needs. All right, so today is one of them. And then again, we will be having 3 in-house lectures, and we will work with 2 more workshops and 1 lecture with library. So stay tuned with the resources and information. And we want to open up with a speaking study group, basically working on critical reasoning skills. How exciting is that? So that is the thing that we really want to, bring the academic discourse to another level. All right. So academic skills is not just about that you know a lot of words, a lot of vocabs. No, it's not just simply like that. You can sometimes use very easy language, but with the very concrete and consolidated academic skills, you can make that to nail it, and that is the essence of academic English. All right. And then we work with all kinds of departments. We want them to know better that what kind of service that we can do. So we work with departments to conduct tutorials and with a synergy of a lecture so that they can learn something at a time, and also they can learn that how can they get more from us. This is a partnership with the sports and recreation department with their seminar with those graduate students and faculty. But also collabed with professors in their classroom, and if you got students, do we have faculty here, teachers today? So if you have students and that you do want them to be benefited from our program, and then you can actually allocate a time period asking them to come prior to their submission with their assignment, right? And that definitely helped, and that's what I did. And I think that Felix also did that, right? Felix, do you want to share some of the experiences here so that we can serve you a good cup of coffee? That's a complimentary. About how you send your students here.
Send my student here?
Yeah, how you send them here, and what did they say after they've been here?
Of course, at the very beginning of the semester, I will ask them to join this one session, and I'll give it a bonus.
Yes.
Okay. So, but in the middle of the semester, so few people come to visit here. Mm-hmm. So I will give them extra points.
Yes.
And also because I asked them to do some research papers, to finish a research outline. So they have work to do. So they have very specific job to finish, so that they have a good reason to join. So they have work to do, and they're also a bonus point. So people are willing to come. Okay.
Wow.
That's my strategy.
How do they feel after the session? I think that bonus is one thing that drives them here, but how do they feel afterward? Did they share?
Probably I did not see the feedback form because they cannot book my session because I'm teaching them. But I believe from their assignments and they just follow my instruction. Probably they just learn from me, and they also get assistance from the tutors. So I think that's a very good collaboration between the center and the teachers.
Wow, thank you so much, Felix. And I noticed that Felix sent some of his students to Timothy.
Oh, Thomas.
Oh, Thomas, sorry, to Thomas. Right, to Thomas. Yeah. Thomas, why don't you tell us how did Felix student do?
Doing great. There were some kind of areas for improvement in their assignment, but for the most part, are pretty good in English and proficient, and yeah, they also told me good feedback about your class.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. Wow, good. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thomas can even use Japanese to consult. How good is that? We got a bunch of professionals here, and that really wows me. Yes, by collaborating with tutors and instructors, I also got a chance, I sent out my students and they booked Faruqi's session. And while they were back, I said, how was it? Oh, so good. I was like, really? He said, now, do you have any more questions on your writing? No more. I was like, oh, great. Then I'll send my students to Faruqi more often. And Faruqi actually suggests lots of the parts for students to revise, right? Faruqi, could you please let us know how do you supervise my student? Thank you.
First, I go through the content which they upload on the system. So I go through all those content. So after going through, I just analyze their content, and later in the meeting I just ask them what you want, what you are expecting from us. So then they express their ideas or whatever they are expecting from us. So later I just, rather than pointing out the correction, I just give them the basic idea, that what are the basic points that you need to keep in your mind. So by following these things, you can improve your writing. So later on, I just give them feedback for maybe for 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs. Then I give them assignment. Then the rest of the part you can try by yourself. So during the session, they try by themselves. That's how I try to do.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Faruqi. From what he said, I realized that he actually had a focus prior to the session, and also with the learning route. He has a systematic view of firstly guide the students to identify where might be the problems, and then illustrated that how it can be fixed, and afterward loosen the scaffolding, remove the scaffold one by one, so that students can get their ability or skills can be developed. See, even with our tutors, we're doing things this dedicatedly. So I think that this is something that we really want to share with every one of the students in this campus and also the faculty. All right, we also work with Professor Yang, and then we work with Professor Son, which is in the art department, right? We did have a good time. While we go there, we showcase some of our services. We also collab with them with some kind of workshop activities so that they can also get a chance to see that how EMI course could be like a hands-on approach. So that is also the thing we do. All right, and in order to know more about how teachers and students feel, we conduct with the survey after every kind of encountering, like those seminars, those lectures, and also those partnerships. And we realize that teachers need language development strategically, and also we also see that students need improvement with some feedback mechanism, meaning that we are not only helping students and teachers with their language, but also with an understanding of how learning is happening pedagogically, right? So we are looking at those things not just as a driving element of language itself, but together with how we think academically and how we address ourselves academically. So these are the things that we collect. We also want to know where they are, because those, the can-do statement with every different language proficiency can affect their processing with those academic content. So that is the thing that we want to do. And we also want to understand the students' challenge in the classroom. It is because with those understandings that we can better cater the needs of our services, and at the same time we can create a possible ZPD, right? A possible zone that students can acquire the language, can pick up the language. I know that's the time for a coffee, I know. Right, so we are working on that in a really dedicated manner so that we can, look at the problem into the really precise position. All right, so we do know that at this part, you can also see that there are more than 80% of students think that they do need additional support in EMI courses, and that respond to the previous slide saying that it's not just enough with EMI instructions. And also, there are some different kind of ways, and I think we're responding to language workshops, writing assistance, speaking practice now. And we think that we want to make even more comprehensive services. So that's why we're expanding, and we hope that while you learn that we've been doing right now, and if you think that's beneficial to you, take the initiatives. Go to your teachers and say, hey teacher, do you think that we should invite CAL members to deliver a short tutorial to us so that we can come up with something to learn together? Or teacher, do you think that you can provide your grading expectations such as rubrics so that I can take along with to the tutor so that the tutor understand what you're looking for, what you're looking at the same time, right? And so that the tutoring, the guidance wouldn't be like, two parallel routes, right? So yes, so these are the things that we can work together with the faculty, the students, and the member in this learning environment. So later on, we're talking about individualized support, such as tailored assistance to the unique language needs. Now, Faruqi just mentioned, right? In the process, the very important part is that the learner needs to identify what might be the learning focus here, and that actually create a very meaningful learning path. Otherwise, you can imagine with our students, they'll say, oh, my English is really poor, right? In what way? In every way. And then there is no focal point that would not be that efficient. So the strategy Faruqi just employed, it's actually the thing that can also drive a student-centered learning path. So the students are explicitly, acknowledge the needs of their own, right? So that starts with a personalized learning process. So that is the things that we want to address, especially in our tutor training session. So, so you can be sure that whenever you're here, you're not just having another lecture from another teacher, but you can get the just right catering service just for you. And that is because we focus on that very much. All right. So every time it's a 1 hour session, you can either choose writing or speaking as your focus. You need to upload your content first, right? So that we can have a point to discuss about. And then, of course, the tutors need to work on that as well. That is why the session is so powerful. All right. So apart from that, Bob, do you want to share some of your experiences with us as tutoring students here? Thank you.
Well, actually, I don't have a clear idea about how to start, but I do want to emphasize that CAL tutoring sections is a valuable resources for students, and I really enjoyed my experience because most of the students come to our tutoring sections with one thing I seldom find in a regular class, which is motivation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you face a very motivated student,
yes,
as the tutor, you feel a strong sense of responsibility to do your best. Yeah, to make sure that they go home with what they come for.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I just want to say that I find it a privilege to work here. And if there are any students in our here now, I really would like to encourage you to book tutoring section to give it a try. That would be a very rewarding experience to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. It's great to have you as a tutor. So you can see that we got very dedicated tutors here, and at the same time with the students collab, it actually provides a very fruitful outcome, not only to the students but also to the tutors. Thank you very much, Bob. We do have other tutors in this room, and I would like to ask them to also speak up for a little while later. All right, so how to do that is that you use the system, but I'm assuming that you all know how to do this because you booked today's session, right? Yes. I think so, right? But we do have some people who don't know or who just come in here. All right, yes. This is the platform that we use, so make sure that you reserve. If you don't know how to do it, our staff will be more than happy to help you with. After the session, let us know, okay? All right. We also want to collaborate with EMI instructors, and that actually could integrate the writing skill to their learning outcome. It is because if it's just academic learning, the Center for Academic Literacy, we're working on with the framework, right? Like with the language that we use, but we don't have the real beats, right, to make it as a bracelet. So those contents are actually the beats that we want to put them all together. So we want to integrate with the writing skills into the content directly. That is the reason why we want to work with those faculty desperately. It is because that it is only when we're working with them that can provide and come up with the most fruitful result. So the curriculum, we are trying to work with them and to finalize the task description. Well, I oftentimes as teachers are being very disappointed as students' learning outcome of what they wrote is very sloppy, things like that. But when I just jump into that task descriptions, I realized that task description is also kind of sloppy. Say, write 500 words of your reflection. Has to be one of the topics that we talked about. The deadline is, things like that. There's no guidance there. So eventually students really don't know what to do. So they just jump into here and there, things like that. So the task description itself is actually like a roadmap for students to linger on. That is the thing that you also want to work on. So you have a picture demonstrated there, and you have an expectation of how you're going to assess that, right? So we want to work with the teachers as well. So that is the case that we work with Professor Lin. And also we work with Professor Song. We ask for what they want with that particular session, and then we transfer that into hands-on activities all together, and we play the magic. That's what they say. They said that we play the magic because those students seem to be very shy to speak up in English. But when I came in and I deployed this kind of activities, they were like, everybody's rushing here and there speaking English, and say, Sonia, do you have some magic? I said, there's no magic wand. But how do we do that? Well, design. Well, that's actually instructional design. How you engage everybody and at the same time empower them with your design is the things that you want to do. And that is the thing that we want to share with our faculty as well, because they are experts, of course, content experts in certain specific field, but they are not necessarily experts in pedagogy. So that is the things that we really want to engage them all together to have a clear understanding of a metrics of how learning happens here and there. Okay, so you probably know the famous Find Someone Who activity or the Four Corners activity. Those are very easy to apply but engaging activities that I often do with the first time EMI courses students. And I use that in Professor Lin's class with 4 hours two times, and turned out to be very, very, I would say very exciting. Well, Max was there, and those students were they were like, I don't know who she is, right? I don't know who she's here for. But at the end, they were like, oh, and they just speak English to everyone in this room. I was like very surprised. Last week we went to academic, the art department, same thing there as well. Those students are like, in a numb phase in the very beginning. They don't feel like doing so. But after doing that, they were like, they're still chatting in English. I say, come on, let's move on, things like that. So these are the things that we want to work with the faculty to show them that it's not just about the English proficiency, but it's also about the learning strategies that you deploy. You help your students to learn in certain skills so that they know what to learn and how to learn. In the past, we just explicitly let our students know what to learn, but we didn't help them to know how to learn. But you know what? You put them all together, like two of them together, intertwine them together, and the learning happens so naturally. And that is the thing that we really want EMI teachers to get a chance to revisit, that teaching in EMI is not just translating. It's not just translating. That is why we are having all kinds of these events to showcase that how and what we can do. All right, resources. We're also talking about resources, and we also think about how we can expand those resources into a greater scale so that we can fit to every dimension of the EMI instruction. Currently, we have those the worksheets and also like handouts that you can definitely use, download from our official website, contributed from Dr. Lin. And we also generating a series of short clips that we can we say that now? Can we? Yeah. Yes. We're joining. We are working on short clips that everyone, including students, both faculties, can actually take that with some time and then to manage to work on that with biteable size small clips, and that can't be done without the effort of our tutor, Anthony. Anthony, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just let us know what we've been doing.
Yeah, so working on a video project I'm specifically making videos on how to give presentations in English for either business or academic purposes. Specifically, I like the idea of bringing people together and collaborating for best practices, because kind of in the world, how many people have taught English, how many people have created their own lessons, and how much time has been wasted by creating your own lessons when people have done really good work in the past. So it's kind of coming together and putting it all into one place and one platform to be easily accessible for many different people to kind of build. So good fun. Good fun.
Thank you, Anthony. And I can't wait to tell you how high quality those videos are. So get tuned, right? Because Anthony's going to work on that with us very closely, and we are very happy that we got all kinds of professional tutors here to togetherly that we can do these things together. That is a very rewarding experience. All right, so here are the resources so that you can find a lot of things that you can do. English for the classroom discussions, English for oral presentations, how to avoid plagiarism, hamburger model, things like that. There are all kinds of them. And also for today, if you're a student, based on the topic of how to give a good oral presentation, if you feel like presenting in the near future and you want to practice a little bit, why not use some technology with us? We are providing content up there with a customized AI program called Sensei. You just simply scan this QR code and then you can listen to the sentences, and then you can record your own ones there, and you will be instantly graded. Can you get that?
Yes.
Yes, great. All right, this is all free. All you have to do is just to submit your name, and then you can start with it. And we are working on this more and more, so that you can come here with the tutoring session with our tutors of the speaking session for sure, no problem. But if you feel like there's something that you really want to work on with, right? Working with AI and whenever and whatever you can, right? actually provides you very good chances to grow. Trust me. So this is something that we do to make a more comprehensive program for learning here. All right. Here we are also looking for further collaboration. It's because that when we are having a chance to talk, we get a chance to learn that what we can furtherly work on. It is because when we talk, we probably would, come up with some mutual understanding of what is lacking here. So starting from this semester, we're opening up Wednesday afternoon here for coffee and for a coffee talk. It is because that sometimes when we're assuming that there's this kind of need, we may not be able to look that into detail. So that is the thing that we want to open up here so that we can have a mutual understanding based on the case, and we understand how those micro cases can embody the macro needs here. So that is the reason why we also want to use this kind of soft approach to get access to any kind of stakeholders of this center. Professional development activities is also something that we want to work on in the near future, but based on that, we want to work on how to cater to your students' needs rather than how to boost the teachers' skills or proficiency. It is because that I think that we always put the students' needs as a core, right? And in response to that, you got rooms for professional development. It's not because that you're not good enough. It's because that you are facing a variety of students now, right? It is very different from the past. So professional development opportunities are also something that we also want to work on in the near future, and also with RCEMI, with CTLD, we will have a seamless collaboration with them as well. Starting from next semester, we are going to have open house events. Together, we are gathering every stakeholders in this campus. We're inviting them, so we are having discussions. With those dialogues, we can understand more about what their needs, and they can understand us more. And then that can inspire some possibilities to collaborate all together. This semester, we actually had one with our coffee event happen on November 16th. By that time, we got a very good conversation with all kind of people here, and people understand that what kind of efforts that we're putting in. Yijun was there. Yijun, could you please tell us that what did you experience in the coffee event? The coffee event there that time, yes.
That day was wonderful, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of people joined in, and other school
administrations, right? Yeah.
President,
yes.
Director from academic affairs.
Yes.
So everyone wanted to join and celebrated this event.
Yes.
It's pretty warm, yeah. And then so Anthony, it was our first time.
Yes.
Yes, because we get a chance to get together. Yeah, so thank you for this event.
Thank you, Yijun. Yijun is also one of our tutors, best of the best. Thank you so much. So open house events is something that we are doing right now as well. All right, so to recap, EMI actually serves as a bridge. Now, it's not just a concrete bridge there. We're interweaving the fabric all together with every stakeholders in this environment. So we want to together to facilitate academic discourse on and off, right? It can be something in the classroom, it can be something in the campus, on and off. Those academic discourses is the focus here. It is very different from most students' previous English learning experiences, so that leaves us a huge, a great room to improve. Collaborations with faculties. Faculties tend to work on their own very often, right? And sometimes it seems like PD exposed some kinds of their shortage that they need to make up, but we don't really see it that way, so that we are trying to co-construct with a kind of understanding of that PD is not just because that you're not good enough, but it's because that you want to be better. All right. And international engagement is something that we are looking at the moment as well, saying that we start from here, how can we be global and local at the same time? We can be global, right? That is the thing that we want. And especially with this CAL, we got international tutors that actually provide us a conducive environment here. All right, and also with the workshop, tutorials, personalized mechanisms with tutoring sessions that we just introduced can together co-construct the possible to come. All right, so basically all of these efforts is to maximize the effectiveness of EMI classrooms. So yes, we do have some students come here and they want their English to improve. I realize that, but it's just that we are here mainly focusing on how to, make the learning more effective. But if you want to, build up your English proficiency, there's somewhere else you can go to. FLET, Foreign Language Education Division, right. FLET is the place that you can go to. They also offer very good chat rooms, very good services as well. So you can recognize that there are different kinds of language that you can work on at the same time with the resources provided by NTNU. All right. Well, today I got the greatest pleasure to introduce and also to showcase what we have done so far. And hopefully that this gives you some inspirations of what you might be using in the near future to maximize your learning and take the best out of it. And we also want to hear, apart from the tutors, we also want to hear from you that what is your expectation or what is your question or what might you need apart from the service that we provide here. So I would like to pass the baton to some of the participants today so that everybody, we can get a cup of coffee, right? So why don't we start from Yi Zong?
Okay. That's his second talk.
Oh, really? Too much coughing today.
I am a EMI TA in
Yes.
one of the
Yes.
educational psychology class, and I actually tell the students that we have this service, but I think the thing stopped them to book the session is like they constantly thinking their English is not good enough.
Yeah.
And they are like even more afraid of doing this one-on-one. So is there like any advice you could give me as like for a TA? What can I do to like promote this service to them? Or that's the first question. And the second question is, have you guys considered doing a social media like Instagram? Maybe it's easier to get into the students' social life.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, I remember now, it was Anthony. Yeah, and he's good. Yeah. for the session of the educational psychology, yeah, he was 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Oh, sorry, 10 out of 10.
Thank you, Yi Zong. Thank you. Those are very good comments, and thank you for waking us up. Thank you. Good. Yes, we're thinking about how to.
I'm sorry. I would like to add something.
Sure.
I am from Taiwan Tech because a few weeks ago I joined a workshop for academic speaking skills from Dr. Susan Zhang Wenjia 教授.
Yes.
And to answer your question, earlier you mentioned about social media. Actually, I found this activity from Instagram for Cal.
We do have Instagram. Follow now. Take out your phone.
And there are very clear and concise instruction to apply and register for this activity. So I signed up from the system.
That's nice.
Yes. And I also have a quick question.
Yes, please.
And earlier, Dr. Fan, you mentioned instructional design to help the students to engage more in this learning session. And I would like to learn more about instructional design. How do you, could you share your tips to set up an instructional design to help students to inspire or encourage them to step out of the first step.
Thank you very much for your add-ons, and that actually help us to learn more about how you know and feel about the center. Thank you for mentioning the Instagram and also the steps that being posted out there. Thank you so much. As for the instructional approaches and the design, I think that it's something that worth of talking, worth of discussion. And in fact, that is my next topic next semester. It is because that when we're talking about instructions, we'd also want to talk about how to finalize the task description at the same time. So the focus or the key audience may be like faculties instead of students. But to answer that briefly, I would say that when you want your students to engage, firstly, you empower them. You make them fully prepared. A lot of instructions, well, while we are studying as students, right? A lot of the teachers, they love to, break down one sentence into many blanks so that to test whether the students are paying enough attention to that or not. But that doesn't actually provide enough scaffolding. So scaffolding means that if you can understand, firstly, by the analysis of your students' needs, you can understand where your students are, and then you can actually help them make the first initiatives is to take no efforts to engage. That is the first thing. All right. And then the first engagement has to be not to be too intimidating. Like when we are asking students to engage in a hands-on activity, if we want students to talk to others, you want the social distance, not social distancing. The distance actually determine the status of their mentality. All right. So firstly, if they can work with something they're close enough to, and just like their neighbors and get to know people just next to them, that's fine. And then gradually you expand the environment, and then the people, the variety. So there are all kind of techniques that teachers might want to consider. I do have lots of experiences on that, meaning that I failed many times. So I realized some works, some doesn't, things like that. So that is the thing that we want to talk about, especially to teachers who are trying to develop their curriculum and instructional design. That is something you want to integrate it with. But I also have to say that I've taught IB philosophy and practices with the IB curriculum development. There is a very strong paradigm shift from a teacher-centered to learner-centered, and it has a 20-80 principle, meaning that teachers cannot talk more than 20% of the class time. As for 80% of the time, you want students to engage in hands-on activities. But you know what? Asking students to engage on hands-on activities often results in like teacher giving a topic and then teachers just sitting there watching people doing nothing, and that is not effective enough. But so every process, how to guide them from time to time, even though the project-based learning can be students self-directed, and that requires the most of the learner's autonomy, you still need to to predict that what may come next. So teachers need to make lots of preparations prior to that. That is the things that makes successful, student-centered instructions as well. So yes, thank you for the question, and I think that it gives me lots of inspirations on what to say next. Can I do that, Tony? Yeah. I'm asking for permission from my boss. Thank you very much. You say you're from Taiwan Tech?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a school there?
Kidon Road.
Ah. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, that's right.
Oh. Thank you for coming. Even people from Taiwan Tech know we have Instagram. Yeah, I'm kidding. All right. Thank you. I love this discussion. It is because that, togetherly, everybody is making that academic discourse. It's not just me, Tony, our tutors, everyone. We'd like to hear more from you. Anyone?
That's a good question.
Sure.
Do I need the microphone? Yeah.
You do.
Pretty loud. So I'm American and I don't have a lot of experience being taught by professors in Taiwan. A concern that I've had a lot is, are professors here generally accepting to put their pride aside and saying, I'm welcoming outside help to teach my students? And every country's different, every professor's different. Have you guys had a lot of positive feedback in trying to get into their classrooms, or have you been trying to kick down doors and saying, we're here to help, please let us help you? So I'm just curious about how it's going, and maybe what has gone well.
Well, Anthony, that's a very good question. As we are showcasing those success, I assume that they go well.
Yes.
All right. But to answer that question is that, yes, you know what, with those professors, when they are trying to, upgrade their teaching to the next level, they might need help, yes. And they also face some kind of, insecurity, right? They feel that they may not be good enough to do that, so there are some of them feel reluctantly to do so. I have to admit. So not everybody's doing that at this moment. But the policy still goes on, and we think that is the right direction, so we work really hard on that. The first thing is not to give the impression to those professors say that this professional development is because it's catered for you, it's because that you're not getting there. That is not the message that we're sending. So as a Center for Academic Literacy, we try to sneak in with the supportive approaches to your students to make them grow. And then with those approaches and with those collabs, we say, hey, if you feel like you need some time and you want us to be there, we can hold on workshops and activities. That is also the chance we get to demonstrate how we apply those instructional approaches. And those, well, at least with the faculty that we work on with, they feel like, oh, that's really effective. They feel they can sense that effectiveness because the students' change is dramatic within its classroom, right? So they do get a chance to witness what is being effective there. But we are not moving on too much. It is just because that we want the assistance to the students can be fully established and fully grounded, so that more and more people are using the service is the first thing that we do. And at the same time, we try to outreach, and then hopefully bit by bit, so we can help the faculties realize that, oh, there are some approaches that they can use instantly. With the worksheets that I conduct with all of the activities, I just left a copy to them. And then when students are doing those activities, I talk to the professor, say, oh, this is 4 corners, so the students can gather in 4 different zones. At the same time, they are giving out reasons why they're choosing this rather than that. And then together, although they didn't have a clear explanations of why they're here, they just got a gut feeling and they end up with this corner. But with the help of the people who gathered there, they got a chance to talk and say, oh, I'm here because I don't like that, I don't like that. Okay, that could be a reason, right? I'm here because I got good reason, things like that. They share, and together it got a collective consensus, and that empowers them before coming up to the stage to share their thinking. And that is a process the technique that we oftentimes use, especially in a foreign language classroom, so that you get students prepared before the PPP model. In the past, we used the PPP model, right? You practice, you prepare, and then you come off stage and present. But nowadays, we say, hey, you know what? The constructive approach, the communicative ways, and the peers' work actually do help. And that is the thing that we work on.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Anthony. Any more questions or feedbacks to us? How do you feel about today's session? The EMI lady?
I'm actually an elementary school teacher.
Oh.
I have no class, so I just want to know what happened at Shida.
What happened at Shida? What does that mean?
I mean, what different?
Yes.
What different between the teaching at university and at elementary school? So I'm here to learn, and thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. So you're not teaching any EMI courses in your school?
I'm teaching English.
Oh, you're an English teacher. Yeah. So you are doing whole language approach?
Yeah, I try to, yeah.
Here's the expert. All right, can I know, may I know which school you're from?
Mingquan Elementary School.
Oh, Mingquan. I've been to Mingquan.
Oh, really?
Many times.
Oh, really? Okay.
With your coordinator. And
Marie?
yes.
Okay.
And
Marie time.
Oh. Okay, we can talk about that later. All right, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Dani. I'm actually a tutor at Cal. It's my first semester. So I just want to share to everyone, like, Cal is not just about teaching English textbook lessons, but rather Cal aims to bridge the gap between the students' academic knowledge and also the real world environment or real world application.
Yes.
And also, like, I think I would want to add that Cal also pushes the students to think or move beyond conventional approaches. And also create a collaborative environment where, like, the students are encouraged to participate more in finding their unique writing voices or enhance their critical thinking in English. And ultimately, I think what I got from teaching at Cal, like, it's not just the beauties who got to learn something. I got to learn a lot from teaching them. And ultimately, everyone can honor the learnings from this, and also strive for self-improvement. It would create or it would stimulate a thriving environment where it can foster greater success for everyone.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you. Yes, Danny is also one of our tutors. I'm sorry I forgot to introduce you. Thank you. This is such a wonderful day to celebrate the success, and what lies behind the success are the efforts and the endeavors that every one of you contribute. Thank you so much with it. And today I think it's a great time that we can have a further discussion after this session with the coffee. Right? So now they're preparing. If you feel free to stay and talk to us, feel free to do so. Let's have a little warm coffee meetup. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just a quick response to the wonderful conversation that we all had.
Yes.
Earlier, I don't know if you still remember I think these are the words probably Yaju put on maybe the first or the second slides. She was talking about what we can do to empower students' academic discourse, right, and also their expression, right. And you know, when I see the word discourse, it's not just about conversation. It has a lot to do with structure.
Yes.
Okay. They know what they need to talk about, what they want to talk about. Like what Yaju mentioned earlier, they come from different departments and they already have the knowledge of the subject areas in their mind, but they need a structure. We are here to empower them to know how to put what they want to talk about into their writing, into their speaking.
Yes.
So I think the combination of the what, you know, from them, and also, you know, the service that we provide, the knowledge of how, this combination is what empowers them to be able to engage that in academic discourse.
Exactly.
But we all know that this kind of ability doesn't just happen in, in a day or a week. So I think our biggest challenges is how do we get a student to keep coming back? You know, to keep using our service, not just once. We are hoping that they can have this kind of long-term relationship with us.
Yes.
And so I think this is probably one thing that as we approach the students, we probably have to think about what can we do so that they have the incentive to keep coming back to us. So I think this is one thing I'd like to respond. And I also like the question from the Taiwan student. He was asking, how do we facilitate students? And like what Yatu mentioned earlier, it's not an easy question, but it's a very wonderful question. And one thing that I did in my class a lot is that, and we all know that in our class we have students at different proficiency levels. So when we are, this is what I do, and I'd like to share this with you guys, and I think it works very well. First thing is what Yatu said earlier. In the past, it's all about presentation, right? But I think getting students to get prepared before they come to the class is very important, because that's the only way that they will not treat our class as an information session. And we don't want our service or our consultation to turn into just an information session.
No.
We are hoping there's a conversation. We get something from them, understand their needs, and we offer some feedback to them. So it should be two-way. And going back to the class, making them prepared is one such thing that we need to do. Otherwise, they will just come here and sit back and relax and take notes. Doing their job as a student, but they will never become a participant in the class. So getting them prepared is something that I also do. And the second thing is that when I try to get the feedback from a student with high proficiency in English, I will try to simplify their input. By that, I'm asking, for example, if I get some input from, like some feedback from Yatu or some response from Yatu, and she happens to be one of the best or verbal speakers in the class, I will try to ask the other people, if you have to pick 2 keywords from her response, what are the 2 keywords that you will select? Okay, so I try to simplify her output by asking the other people whose English is probably not as good to pick 2 keywords. And the 2 keywords can vary. And a student can take the chance to see, the common ground. But if I happen to get the output from like a student whose English proficiency is not as great, I will try to complicate that a little bit. I will try, okay, can you give me 2 keywords? When you see this question, then, if they answer me with just one question, I will try to elaborate, the output from the student. So I do different things with students at different proficiency levels, so everyone feel that they are a part of this conversation. But it's just not limited to such possibility, and I think that you guys all probably do much better than we do. But this is the reward and exciting part for being in a classroom where language shouldn't be just the as Yatu mentioned earlier, it's not just about the language issue. Our job as a tutor is to help the student to see that they can still have something to offer, their thinking, right, their cognition. And also earlier when Yatu was talking about that speaking study group idea, I am so surprised, but in a good way. Because I remember one of you mentioned that in EMI classroom, probably, Yizhong Lao was talking about the students, they don't feel comfortable, booking the session because they think that it could be an intimidating session, talking to a stranger about my problems. It takes some courage, right? To really share your weakness, with someone that you barely know. But I think getting students in a group probably would be a good start. Like what we experienced in the classroom before, you could ask them to work in group. Perhaps pair work probably will give them that kind of security, to express their view. So I definitely think that's a good idea. And also what I'm thinking about right now is that in the past we used to separate speaking and writing, presentation and writing. But I was thinking if we all agree that the students need to keep coming back, to develop their ability to engage a conversation with people. Perhaps we probably should think of a way to combine these two. Having a systematic discussion on the writing process. Maybe have one session, like what Yatu mentioned earlier. We could probably have like 5 conversations about how to make a case, how you justify something. It could be revolve around like something that we could all do in an academic EMI classroom, regardless of your field and discipline. So maybe, and we all know that today, nowadays, we no longer treat language skills as 4 separate skills. We talk about integration, right? So perhaps that's one such possibility that we can do. And I'm also very happy that Yatu mentioned that we will work closely with maybe 双语专员, right? We will work with staff from Office of Bilingual Education. We are hoping that every month we could have a, how do we call that, open house, or like a fun event that allows us to get everyone together, like the occasion today, but with more coffee, with more food, more fun. And we will have an incentive to put everyone together, not just the tutors and the students as well. So I hope that everyone can keep coming back, and they will help us to form the community here. And I hope that we do have that kind of sense of belonging. You know, every time you pass by here, you know that this is Cal, this is our space. So we are hoping to have a regular get-together throughout this kind of system. And you know, I need to stop. Just one last thing, and I really like this idea. You also mentioned about the IB thinking. You know, a teacher's not supposed to talk for more than 20% of the time, right? And this is actually what I learned. Maybe we probably didn't call it IB at the time. When I was still a student, my teacher told me that how do you know if a teacher is doing a good job? By the number of questions that he or she asks in the class. If the input that you provide to your students are all declarative sentences, statements, you will never get them to think. So the number of questions that you ask, and also the sequencing, how you ask the question. What kind of question do you ask first? And these are all the questions or issues that we can further discuss. Maybe in the talks or events that we are going to hold next semester. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully, I believe that all of you would agree that Yaju's talk actually gives us a lot of food for thoughts. And I hope that you do enjoy the talk and also have some interesting ideas. So please stay a little bit to enjoy the coffee and have a conversation with us. Thank you very much.